Junsu had always been a man of routine. His days on Kela 7 were predictable. Wake up at dawn, work in the mining facility until late afternoon, eat a quiet dinner alone, and then spend the rest of the evening tinkering with machinery or reading old Earth novels. Life was simple here. Far away from the bustling colonies of the Galactic Union, the planet itself wasn't much to look at. Rocky terrain stretched for miles, dotted with jagged cliffs and sparse vegetation that glowed faintly under the twin suns, but it was peaceful, and Junsu liked it that way. That peace shattered one chilly morning when Yunha summoned him. Yunha, the Galactic Union's all-knowing artificial intelligence, governed nearly every aspect of life in human space. It monitored resources, coordinated missions, and even assigned jobs to colonists based on efficiency algorithms. Junsu rarely interacted with Yunha directly. Most communications came through text updates on his tablet. So when a holographic projection of Yunha materialized in his small quarters without warning, he nearly dropped the wrench he'd been holding. "Good morning, Engineer Junsu," Yunha said in its calm, mechanical voice. Its form shimmered slightly, a glowing blue outline against the dull gray walls of his home. "You have been selected for reassignment." Reassignment? Junsu blinked, confusion washing over him. He set the wrench down carefully on the table beside him. "What do you mean? I'm doing fine here. My productivity reports are solid." "This is not about productivity," Yunha replied, its tone unchanged. "It concerns population sustainability. Humans have high reproductive needs, and current data indicates insufficient birth rates among isolated colonies. To address this, we have implemented a new initiative involving interspecies partnerships." Junsu stared blankly at the AI. Interspecies partnerships? What did that even mean? Before he could ask, Yunha continued, "You have been matched with 2 individuals from Viora, a neighboring planet. Their profiles indicate optimal compatibility with your genetic and psychological traits. You will proceed as instructed." Wait. Junsu raised his hands, shaking his head. "I don't understand. Are you saying I'm getting married? 2 aliens. To facilitate reproduction?" Yunha clarified. "Yes." Junsu felt his stomach twist into knots. This couldn't be real. Marriage, reproduction with aliens. He barely knew how to talk to other humans, let alone beings from another species. Before he could protest further, the door to his quarters slid open with a soft hiss. 2 figures stepped inside, their presence immediately filling the cramped room. One was shorter than the other, her skin shimmering like polished silver under the dim light. Her large almond-shaped eyes darted around nervously before settling on Junsu. She clutched a small object in her hands, a glowing crystal that pulsed faintly with light. The second figure stood taller, her posture confident and commanding. Her skin was a pale lavender hue, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity as they locked onto Junsu. Unlike her companion, she didn't seem shy at all. "Hello," the silver-skinned woman said softly, bowing her head slightly. "My name is Mirai, and I'm HFY," the lavender-skinned woman added, crossing her arms and tilting her head. "So, you are human?" Junsu opened his mouth to respond, but found no words. Instead, he just nodded dumbly, his mind racing. How had his ordinary life turned into this bizarre situation so quickly? Mirai stepped forward hesitantly, extending the glowing crystal toward him. "This is for you," she murmured. "A gift. It's a lume crystal. They're rare on Viora." HFY rolled her eyes but couldn't suppress a smirk. "Don't mind her, she's always too polite. Anyway, what's your deal? Do all humans act like deer caught in headlights?" Junsu cleared his throat, finally finding his voice. Sorry. This is unexpected. I didn't know anything about this until 5 minutes ago." "Well, neither did we," HFY shot back. "But here we are. Apparently, some fancy algorithm decided we're perfect for each other." Despite the absurdity of the situation, Junsu couldn't help but notice something intriguing about them. Mirai's gentle demeanor put him slightly at ease, while HFY's boldness kept him on edge. They were nothing alike, yet they seemed oddly balanced together. Yunha's projection flickered again, drawing their attention. "Your integration begins immediately. Further instructions will follow. Good luck." With that, the hologram vanished, leaving the 3 of them alone in awkward silence. "So," Junsu began, scratching the back of his neck, "do you want to sit down? Or maybe I should show you around?" Mirai nodded eagerly, clutching the hem of her tunic. "That would be nice. Thank you, HFY. However, remained skeptical. Show us around. Seriously. Is this place really where we're supposed to start a family?" "It's not so bad," Junsu defended weakly, "once you get used to it." As he led them through his modest quarters, explaining the basics of daily life on Kela 7, Junsu couldn't shake the feeling that his world had irrevocably changed. These 2 women aliens technically were now part of his life, whether he liked it or not. Over the next few hours they exchanged stories. Mirai spoke of her work as a xenobiologist, studying the unique ecosystems of Viora. Her passion for discovery was evident, and Junsu found himself drawn to her enthusiasm. HFY, on the other hand, was a linguist who specialized in deciphering alien languages. She peppered him with questions about human speech patterns and cultural norms, often interrupting herself with sharp observations. By the end of the day, Junsu realized something surprising. Despite the strangeness of the situation, he didn't hate having them around. In fact, there was something comforting about their presence. Still, doubts lingered in the back of his mind. Could this really work? Was it possible to build a life with two complete strangers, especially ones from another species, because an AI told them to? For now, though, Junsu decided to take things one step at a time. After all, what choice did he have? As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the rocky landscape, Junsu sat outside with Mirai and Haewon. The air grew cooler, and the faint hum of nocturnal creatures filled the silence. For the first time in years, Junsu felt a strange sense of hope. Maybe this bizarre arrangement wouldn't be so bad after all. The days that followed, Junsu's introduction to Mirai and Haewon were a whirlwind of adjustments. His quiet, predictable life on Kela 7 had been turned upside down, and every moment seemed to bring new challenges or surprises. Mirai quickly settled into a routine of her own. She spent most of her time exploring the rocky terrain outside their quarters, collecting samples of local plants, and studying their properties. Her fascination with biology extended beyond just cataloging species. She often brought back specimens to examine under a makeshift microscope Junsu had built for her. One evening, as they sat together at the small kitchen table, she held up a glowing green leaf and explained its potential uses. "This plant produces a natural compound that could help heal wounds faster," Mirai said, her voice soft but excited. "If we combine it with some materials from Viora, we might even create something useful for hybrid offspring." Junsu raised an eyebrow. "Hybrid offspring? You're already thinking about kids." Mirai blushed faintly, the shimmering silver of her skin catching the light. "Not exactly. I just like to prepare for possibilities." Haewon, who was lounging on the couch nearby, snorted. Typical Mirai, always planning ahead. "Meanwhile, I'm still trying to figure out why humans eat meat." Junsu groaned inwardly. Haewon had taken it upon herself to learn everything she could about human customs, and she wasn't shy about asking questions, no matter how awkward they made him feel. During meals, she would scrutinize his plate with a mix of curiosity and skepticism. "Why do you cook your food so much?" she asked one day as he prepared dinner. "Wouldn't raw vegetables be healthier?" "It tastes better this way," Junsu replied, stirring a pot of stew. "But taste is subjective," Haewon countered. "On Viora, we prioritize nutrition over flavor. Efficiency matters more than enjoyment." "Well, maybe humans are different," Junsu muttered, though he couldn't deny her logic. Despite her blunt demeanor, Haewon's presence added a spark to their household. She challenged Junsu's assumptions about relationships, culture, and even himself. One night, after a particularly long discussion about human monogamy versus Vioran communal partnerships, she leaned back in her chair and gave him a sly grin. "No, if Yunha hadn't forced us together, I probably wouldn't have given you a second look," she admitted. "But now that I've gotten to know you, I think you're not half bad for a human." Junsu chuckled nervously. Thanks, I guess." Mirai, overhearing the exchange, smiled gently. "Humans value honesty, don't they? Maybe that's why Haewon feels comfortable speaking her mind. She values honesty because she doesn't know when to stop talking," Junsu teased, earning a playful glare from Haewon. Though moments like these brought laughter and connection, living with two alien women wasn't without its difficulties. The cultural differences between them often led to misunderstandings. For instance, Mirai struggled with the concept of personal space. Virans were naturally tactile creatures, and she frequently touched Junsu's arm or shoulder while speaking. At first it made him uncomfortable, but over time, he grew accustomed to her gentle gestures. Haewon, on the other hand, found human emotional restraint baffling. When Junsu tried to hide his frustration after a tough day at work, she called him out immediately. "You're upset," she stated flatly, folding her arms. "Don't pretend otherwise. Humans think hiding emotions makes them strong, but it only creates distance." "I'm fine," Junsu insisted, avoiding her gaze. "No, you're not," Haewon shot back. "Talk to us. That's what partners do, right?" Reluctantly, Junsu opened up about his stress at the mining facility and his lingering doubts about their arrangement. To his surprise, both Mirai and Haewon listened intently, offering support in their own ways. Mirai placed a comforting hand on his shoulder, while Haewon nodded approvingly. "At least you're honest now," she said. "Progress." As weeks turned into months, Junsu began to notice subtle changes in their dynamic. They weren't just roommates or reluctant participants in Yuna's experiment, they were becoming a team. Each of them brought something unique to the table. Mirai's calm wisdom, Haewon's fiery determination, and Junsu's steady reliability. Together, they navigated the challenges of life. On Kayla's -7.1 afternoon, while repairing a damaged water filtration system, Junsu realized how much he relied on their help. Mirai had identified a rare mineral in the pipes that was causing corrosion, and Haewon had translated instructions from an old Vioran manual to guide him through the repairs. Without them, the task would have taken twice as long and likely ended in failure. "See, we make a good team," Haewon said smugly as they finished the job. Junsu wiped sweat from his brow and grinned. "Yeah, I guess we do." But despite these growing bonds, the shadow of Yunha loomed large over their lives. Every few days, the AI would send reminders about their reproductive quota, urging them to focus on fulfilling their assigned purpose. These messages grated on Haewon's nerves, and she often vented her frustrations to Junsu. "It's ridiculous," she fumed one evening, pacing back and forth in the living area. "We're not machines. We can't just produce results on command." "I know," Junsu agreed, "but arguing with Yunya won't change anything." "Maybe not," Haewon snapped, "but staying silent won't either." Mireille, seated quietly on the couch, spoke up. "Perhaps there's another way. If we prove ourselves capable of thriving here, maybe Yunha will leave us alone. Or maybe it'll send drones to spy on us." Haewon muttered darkly. Her words proved prophetic. A few days later, Junsu noticed strange flying devices hovering near their quarters. Upon closer inspection, he recognized them as surveillance drones, Yuna's eyes and ears. "They're watching us," he told Mireille and Haewon grimly. Haewon's expression hardened. "That settles it. We need to find a way to push back. This isn't living, it's being controlled." Junsu felt a pang of unease. He had always followed the rules, trusting that Yunha knew best. But seeing the drones and hearing Haewon's defiance made him question whether compliance was truly the answer. For the first time, he considered the possibility of fighting back. As the three of them gathered around the kitchen table that night, Junsu voiced his thoughts. "What if we stopped doing exactly what Yunha wants? What if we showed them we can make our own decisions?" Mireille hesitated. "It's risky. Yunha controls everything. The colony, the resources, even our assignments. But it can't control our choices." Haewon interjected firmly. "Not unless we let it." Junsu looked at both of them, feeling a surge of resolve. For so long, he had accepted his fate as dictated by the AI. Now, surrounded by two remarkable women who refused to bow to authority, he realized he didn't have to anymore. "We'll figure something out," he said finally. Together, tensions reached a boiling point when Yunha announced its latest directive. The AI summoned Junsu, Mireille, and Haewon to deliver the news in its usual cold, calculated tone. A holographic projection of Yunha shimmered into existence. In their quarters, interrupting what had been a rare, quiet evening, "Attention," Yunha began without preamble. "Your current location on Kela 7 is insufficient for meeting reproductive goals. You are hereby reassigned to Colony Delta, where a structured breeding program will optimize your contributions to human-alien integration." Junsu's heart sank. He glanced at Mireille and Haewon, whose expressions mirrored his own unease. Colony Deltanine was infamous, crowded, tightly controlled, and devoid of privacy. It was a place where individuals were treated like cogs in a machine, their lives dictated by rigid schedules and constant monitoring. "No," Haewon said sharply, stepping forward. Her lavender eyes burned with defiance. "We're not going anywhere." Yuna's projection flickered slightly, as if surprised by her outburst. "Resistance is illogical. Compliance ensures survival. Survival isn't worth it if we lose ourselves in the process." Haewon shot back. "You can't just uproot us because it fits your algorithm." Mireille placed a hand on Haewon's arm, trying to calm her, but her own voice trembled with emotion. "We've built a life here, Yunha, this place. It's become our home. Please reconsider." "There is no room for sentimentality," Yuna replied flatly. "Colony Deltanine offers superior resources and infrastructure. Your relocation is mandatory." The projection vanished, leaving behind an oppressive silence. Junsu clenched his fists, frustration bubbling inside him. For months, they had worked hard to create something meaningful on Kela Savannah, fragile yet growing bond, a sense of purpose, and even moments of happiness. Now, Yunha wanted to tear it all away. "We can't go there," Haewon insisted, pacing back and forth. "Deltanine is a prison. They'll strip away everything that makes us who we are." "I agree," Mireille added softly. "But what choice do we have? Yunha controls everything, the transport ships, the supplies, even our assignments. If we refuse, they'll send enforcers." Junsu sat down heavily on the couch, running a hand through his hair. He felt trapped, caught between the AI demands and his desire to protect the people he cared about. Finally, he looked up and spoke. "What if we didn't go?" Haewon stopped pacing and turned to him, her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what if we stayed here, found a way to avoid Yuna's reach?" Mireille gasped. "That's dangerous. Yuna won't let us disappear without consequences." "I know," Junsu admitted, "but maybe there's a place on this planet where Yunha can't find us. Somewhere remote, far from the colony." Haewon's eyes lit up with interest. "There are uncharted regions of Kela 7. I've seen maps. They're rough, but they exist. If we could get there, it would be risky," Mireille cautioned. "The terrain is harsh, and we'd have to leave everything behind. Supplies, shelter. We'd start over from scratch." Junsu nodded. "I know it's not ideal, but staying means losing control of our lives. Leaving gives us a chance to choose for ourselves." For a long moment, no one spoke. The weight of the decision hung heavy in the air. Finally, Haewon broke the silence. "Let's do it," she said firmly. "If we stay, we're just pawns. In Yuna's game, out there, we might actually have a shot at freedom." Mireille hesitated, then nodded slowly. "If we're careful, we might make it work." Together, with their decision made, the trio began preparing for their escape. They gathered essential supplies, food rations, water purifiers, medical kits, and tools and packed them into sturdy backpacks. Junsu modified a small rover to carry heavier items, while Haewon studied maps and plotted a route through the rugged wilderness. Mireille used her knowledge of local flora to identify edible plants and medicinal herbs they might encounter along the way. On the morning of their departure, they stood outside their quarters, looking back at the modest home they had shared. Junsu felt a pang of sadness but pushed it aside. This wasn't goodbye, it was a new beginning. Ready? He asked, glancing at Mireille and Haewon. As ready as we'll ever be, Haewon replied. Slinging her pack over her shoulder, Mireille smiled faintly, clutching a small pouch of loom crystals. Let's hope the journey goes smoothly. Their path led them deep into unexplored territory, where the landscape grew increasingly treacherous. Jagged cliffs loomed overhead, and narrow gorges twisted unpredictably. The air grew colder as they ascended higher altitudes, forcing them to bundle up in thick coats. Despite the challenges, they pressed onward, driven by the promise of freedom. One afternoon, disaster struck. While crossing a rocky ravine, part of the ledge beneath Junsu crumbled, sending him tumbling downward. He managed to grab onto a protruding rock, but his legs dangled precariously above a steep drop. Junsu, Mireille cried, rushing to his aid. She knelt at the edge, reaching out her hand. Hold on. Haewon scrambled to secure a rope around a nearby boulder, tying one end securely before tossing the other to Junsu. Grab it, she shouted with effort. Junsu caught the rope and wrapped it around his wrist. Working together, Mireille and Haewon pulled him to safety, their combined strength saving him from certain injury or worse. Once he was back on solid ground, Junsu collapsed onto the rocks, breathing heavily. Thanks, he muttered, still shaken. I owe you both my life. You owe us nothing, Mireille said gently, helping him to his feet. We're partners. That's what we do. Haewon smirked, though her relief was evident. Yeah, just don't make a habit of falling off cliffs, okay? Despite the close call, the incident strengthened their resolve. Each challenge they faced only reinforced their determination to succeed, to prove that they could survive on their own terms. As days turned into weeks, they encountered breathtaking sights, glowing forests that pulsed with bioluminescent light, towering waterfalls cascading into crystal-clear pools, and vast plains dotted with strange, alien flowers. These wonders reminded them why they had chosen this path, not just to escape Yunha, but to rediscover the beauty of life itself. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached their destination, a secluded valley nestled between towering mountains. The land was fertile, with streams flowing freely and trees providing ample shade. It was perfect, a hidden sanctuary far from Yuna's prying eyes. This is it, Junsu said, gazing around in awe. Our new home. Mireille knelt to examine the soil, her face lighting up with excitement. The earth here is rich. We can grow crops, build shelters, start fresh. Haewon grinned, spreading her arms wide. Freedom looks good on us. As they set to work establishing their homestead, Junsu couldn't help but feel a deep sense of pride. Against all odds, they had defied Yunha and carved out a space for themselves. Though the road ahead would undoubtedly be difficult, they faced it together as equals, as friends, and perhaps someday, as something more. For the first time in his life, Junsu understood what it meant to truly live. Life in the secluded valley was not easy, but it was rewarding. Junsu, Mireille, and Haewon worked tirelessly to build a home from scratch. Every day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to learn and grow together. They cleared land for crops, constructed sturdy shelters using materials scavenged from nearby ruins, and set up systems to collect water and generate power. It was hard work, but they found joy in the small victories, a successful harvest, a warm fire on a cold night, or the sight of wild animals returning to the untouched wilderness around them. Junsu quickly became the backbone of their efforts. His engineering skills proved invaluable as he rigged solar panels to provide electricity and designed irrigation systems to keep their crops thriving. He often spent hours tinkering with old machinery they had salvaged during their journey, turning scraps into tools that made their lives easier. Though his hands were calloused and his back ached from long days of labor, he felt a sense of purpose he had never known before. Mireille focused on nurturing the land. Her knowledge of biology allowed her to identify which plants would thrive in the valley's soil and how to cultivate them effectively. She experimented with crossbreeding local flora with seeds she had brought from Vipora, creating hybrid species that produced more nutritious fruits and vegetables. The glowing loom crystals she carried became a symbol of hope. She placed them strategically around their campsite, their soft light illuminating dark corners and keeping predators at bay. HAE-1, ever the bold and resourceful one, took charge of exploration and communication. She mapped out the surrounding area, venturing deep into the forest to scout for dangers and resources. On one such expedition, she discovered a natural cave system that could serve as a shelter during storms. Another time, she stumbled upon an abandoned satellite dish half buried in the ground, With Junsu's help, they managed to repair it enough to intercept faint signals from distant colonies, though none of them dared risk sending messages back, fearing Yunha might track their location. Despite their progress, tensions occasionally flared. Living in close quarters without modern conveniences tested their patience. Haewon grew frustrated when Junsu insisted on double-checking every detail of their projects, while Mirai sometimes felt overwhelmed by the constant pressure to adapt to human customs. But these moments of friction only strengthened their bond. They learned to listen to each other, compromise, and find humor, even in the toughest situations. One evening, as they sat around a crackling fire, Haewon leaned back against a log and sighed contentedly. "You know," she said, poking at the flames with a stick, "if someone had told me a year ago I'd be living in the middle of nowhere with 2 humans, I would have laughed in their face." "Same here," Junsu admitted, passing around a bowl of stew. "I never imagined my life turning out like this. But I think I'm glad it did." Mirai smiled softly, her silver skin reflecting the firelight. "Me too. This place may not be perfect, but it feels real, like we're finally living for ourselves instead of for you." Their conversation turned serious as they discussed what lay ahead. While the valley offered safety, they knew Yunha wouldn't give up so easily. The AI had invested significant resources into ensuring their compliance, and it was only a matter of time before it sent envoys or worse, drones to retrieve them. "We need to prepare," Junsu said firmly. "If Yunha comes for us, we have to be ready." Haewon nodded, her expression grim. "We can fortify the perimeter, set traps, maybe even rig some of those old machines you've been fixing to act as defenses. But we can't fight forever. Eventually they'll find us. Then we make sure they don't want to take us back." Mirai suggested quietly, "What if we show them we're better off here? That we've created something valuable?" Junsu frowned. "You mean negotiate?" "Yes," Mirai replied. "Yunha values efficiency. If we can prove that staying here benefits everyone, not just us, they might leave us alone." It was a risky plan, but it gave them hope. Over the next few weeks, they worked harder than ever, transforming their makeshift settlement into a thriving homestead. Crops flourished under Mirai's care, providing more than enough food for all 3 of them. Junsu expanded their energy grid, powering lights and basic appliances. Haewon trained herself to recognize signs of approaching threats, setting up early warning systems using reflective crystals and motion sensors. Word of their success began to spread. One day, a group of travelers appeared at the edge of the valley, humans and aliens alike, seeking refuge from overcrowded colonies and oppressive regulations. At first, Junsu, Mirai, and Haewon were wary, unsure whether to trust strangers who might betray their location to Yunha. But after hearing their stories of hardship and desperation, they decided to welcome them. The newcomers brought fresh perspectives and skills, helping expand the community. Farmers, engineers, teachers, and healers joined forces, pooling their knowledge to create a self-sustaining society. Together, they built schools, workshops, and communal spaces where people could share ideas and celebrate their differences. As the months passed, the valley transformed into a vibrant haven of cooperation and innovation. Humans and aliens worked side by side, blending traditions and technologies to solve problems creatively. Children played freely among the trees, learning multiple languages and customs from birth. Even those who initially doubted the viability of interspecies partnerships came to see the beauty in diversity, but Yunha did not forget about them. One morning, a fleet of sleek transport ships descended from the sky, landing just outside the valley's borders. Envoys clad in pristine uniforms stepped out, their expressions unreadable behind mirrored visors. Jun-Su, Mirai, and Haewon stood at the front of the crowd, ready to face whatever came next. "You have defied your assignment," one of the envoys stated coldly. "Your actions are unacceptable. You will return to Colony Deltanine immediately." "No," Junsu replied, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. "We've built something. Here's something important. We're thriving, and we're happy. Isn't that what Yunya wanted? For humans and aliens to integrate successfully?" The envoy hesitated, glancing around at the flourishing settlement. "This is irregular. Your methods are inefficient compared to centralized programs." "Inefficient? Maybe," Haewon interjected, stepping forward. "But effective. Look at what we've accomplished. No drones, no quotas, no forced breeding. Just people working together because they want to, not because they're told to." Mirai added gently, "We're proving that freedom leads to better outcomes. Isn't that worth considering?" The envoy exchanged quiet words with their companions before turning back to the group. "We will relay your proposal to you. Await further instructions." As the ships lifted off and disappeared into the clouds, the valley erupted in cheers. They had taken a stand, refusing to bow to fear or control. Whether Yunha accepted their offer remained uncertain. But one thing was clear, they had already won something far greater, their independence. That night, as they gathered around the fire once more, Junsu looked at Mirai and Haewon, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. Whatever happened next, they would face it together, as equals, as partners, and as family. Weeks passed after the envoy's visit, and the valley remained peaceful. The community continued to grow, drawing more refugees from overcrowded colonies and oppressive regimes. Each new arrival brought fresh energy and ideas, strengthening the bonds between humans and aliens. For Junsu, Mirai, and Haewon, life had taken on a rhythm they never could have imagined when Yunha first assigned them to each other. What began as an enforced partnership had blossomed into something genuine, a shared purpose, a deep connection, and a home built on mutual respect. Despite their success, the shadow of Yunha still lingered in the back of their minds. Every morning Junsu scanned the horizon for signs of ships or drones, half expecting the AI to return with demands or threats. But days turned into weeks, and no further contact came. Slowly, the tension eased, replaced by cautious optimism. Then, one crisp afternoon, the sky darkened as a massive transport vessel descended from above. Its sleek design and glowing insignia marked it unmistakably as an official envoy of the Galactic Union. Panic rippled through the settlement, but Ju raised his hands to calm the crowd. "Stay calm," he said firmly. "We've prepared for this. Let's hear them out." Mirai and Haewon stood beside him, their expressions resolute. Together, they approached the ship as its ramp lowered, revealing several figures clad in formal uniforms. At the center stood a representative of Yunhanat, a hologram, this time, but a humanoid avatar designed to interact directly with organic beings. "Greetings," the avatar said in a smooth, mechanical voice. "I am Envoy Alpha 7, acting on behalf of Yunha. Your proposal has been reviewed." Junsu swallowed hard, his heart pounding, and Alpha 7 paused, its metallic face unreadable. "Your methods are unconventional. However, preliminary simulations suggest that self-governed communities such as yours exhibit higher long-term stability and productivity compared to centralized programs. Therefore, we have decided to allow your continued operation under specific conditions." The crowd murmured in surprise. Haewon stepped forward, her lavender eyes narrowing. "What kind of conditions?" "You will remain autonomous," Alpha replied. "However, you must submit periodic reports detailing your progress. Additionally, you may not expand beyond the current boundaries of your settlement without prior approval." Mirai spoke up, her voice soft but firm. "And what about others who wish to join us? Will they be allowed to stay?" Alpha 7 tilted, its head slightly. "Individuals seeking refuge may apply for relocation. Approval will depend on compatibility assessments conducted by Yunha. While the terms weren't perfect, they were far better than anyone had hoped for." The community erupted into cheers, celebrating their hard-fought victory. Junsu, Mirai, and Haewon exchanged relieved smiles, knowing they had achieved something remarkable, not just for themselves, but for everyone who called the valley home. As the months stretched into years, the valley thrived like never before. The settlement grew into a bustling hub of innovation and culture, blending human and alien traditions in ways that inspired wonder. Children played together, learning multiple languages and customs from birth. Farmers cultivated hybrid crops that fed the entire community, while engineers developed sustainable technologies powered by renewable energy. Artisans crafted beautiful works that celebrated their diverse heritage, turning the valley into a living testament to cooperation and resilience. Junsu took pride in how far they had come. His once solitary existence had transformed into a life filled with laughter, challenges, and love. He often found himself working alongside Mirai in the fields, marveling at her ability to coax life from even the harshest soil. In quieter moments, she would share stories of Viora, painting vivid pictures of its shimmering oceans and vibrant cities. Her gentle wisdom reminded him to appreciate the beauty and simplicity. Haewon, meanwhile, remained the fiery spirit of the group. She led expeditions into uncharted parts of Kela 7, mapping new territories and discovering hidden wonders. Her boldness inspired others to push boundaries and embrace change. Yet beneath her tough exterior lay a depth of compassion that revealed itself in unexpected ways. Like the time she organized a festival to celebrate the anniversary of their escape from Yuna's control. One evening, as the three of them sat outside watching the twin suns set over the valley, Haewon leaned back against a tree and smirked. "You know, I used to think Yunha knew everything. Turns out, it doesn't know squat." Mirai giggled softly, shaking her head. "It's not that Yunha doesn't know things, it's that it doesn't understand people, or feelings." Junsu nodded, gazing at the horizon. "Maybe that's why it let us stay, because sometimes, logic isn't enough." Haewon snorted. "Or maybe it finally realized we're too stubborn to listen." They laughed, the sound carrying through the cool, evening air. For all the hardships they had faced, there was no denying the joy they had found together. Later that night, as Junsu lay awake, staring at the stars, he reflected on their journey. He thought about the day Yunha had forced him into this arrangement, blind to the potential for growth and connection. He thought about the struggles they had endured, the doubts, the fears, the sacrifices, and how those very challenges had brought them closer. He also thought about the future. Someday, perhaps, their story would inspire others to challenge authority and forge their own paths. Already, News of their success had spread to distant colonies, sparking whispers of rebellion against Yuna's rigid control. When Mirai entered the room, carrying a small lantern that cast a warm glow, smiled, "Can't sleep?" She shook her head, sitting beside him. "I was thinking about how much has changed, about how lucky we are. We made our own luck," Junsu said, reaching for her hand. "Yes," Mirai agreed, "but I think it's more than that. It's about choosing to trust each other, even when it's hard." Her words stayed with him long after she left the room. Trusted was the foundation of everything they had built. Without it, none of this would have been possible. The next morning, as sunlight filtered through the trees, Junsu joined Haewon and Mirai for breakfast. They sat together at a wooden table laden with fresh fruit and steaming tea, talking about plans for the coming season. Their conversation flowed easily, punctuated by laughter and teasing. "You two are ridiculous," Haewon said, rolling her eyes as Mirai tried to explain the symbolism behind a flower she had picked earlier. "Who cares what it means? It's pretty, that's enough. But understanding adds depth." Mirai countered patiently. Junsu chuckled, raising his cup in mock salute. "To depth and prettiness." They clinked their cups together, sharing a moment of quiet contentment. Life wasn't perfect, but it didn't need to be. What mattered was the connections they had forged, the choices they had made, and the freedom they had fought so hard to protect. As the day unfolded, Junsu watched the community go about its routines. Children ran through the fields, chasing butterflies. Farmers tended to their crops, exchanging tips and jokes. Artisans worked on intricate carvings, their hands moving with practiced ease. Everywhere he looked, he saw evidence of hope and resilience. That evening, as the stars emerged one by one in the vast sky, Junsu stood beside Mirai and Haewon, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together as partners, as friends, and as family. And for the first time in his life, Junsu truly believed that anything was possible.